Good morning, everybody. Welcome
Morning.
back to Good Morning THEDAS, and today we are joined by the absolutely lovely pair of Eirin and Halla, who will be running it today.
Hey!
And, of course, the other lovely pair of Asia and Bioware Babbling, a.k.a. my boy Scott. And
What's up, nerds?
fucking nerds. And we are going to be talking about the Evanuris today. Eirin and Halla, yet again, are deciding to take the reins for the day. I will be laying back, chilling out with some Mai Tais and shit. And at 11 in the morning. And yeah, they're gonna be running the show, make it nice and easy for me this week. So, ladies, go on and take the reins.
Oh boy.
Thank you, Ethan.
No problem.
Eirin, would you like to start with the first question, maybe?
Okay, let's do this. So, we're gonna start who is your favorite Evanuris and why? So, who would like to start?
I'll go. Very easy. This is very easy for me. Obviously, it's Solus. I mean, come on. We haven't really got any time with the rest of them yet. So, I mean, well, kind of. We got some with a...
Kinda have. We kinda have.
A little bit. But
Even if you didn't know.
It's fucking Solus. Come on. Yeah. Solus is awesome. Solus
The Egg Lord himself.
He is, yeah. He is very quickly shot up to, like, one of my favorite characters in the entire series, let alone just Inquisition. Like, his fucking...
Nice.
He's amazing. He's great. And I don't know about you guys, but I cannot wait to see where his story goes.
Yes, please.
I'm curious.
That'd be interesting.
So evident curiosity here.
As a person who is not a Soul Leveling man and is more of just Solus is my buddy.
Yeah, but for me
it's more of a bromance than a romance. But
God love.
for me it's double in that, so.
yeah, I'm excited, and I am just like beyond happy that like we are getting a continuation of that story, and as I said, can't wait to see where it goes. So, whoever's up next, go ahead.
Maybe Asia?
This is a bit difficult because I have like my for real answer, and then I have like what I'm considering a headcanon answer, but we haven't had anything confirmed yet. So
Okay.
my for real answer is Mythal. I've liked her since the beginning. Like, I thought it was a really interesting character to introduce just in Origins, even though you didn't technically know it was Mythal then. And like, as she's shown up in each game, like, she's become more and more interesting. Now, headcanon answer is Gillenon, because Gillenon is going to be showing up and ruining everything really, really soon. And I just like cannot stress how excited I am for her to show up.
Oh, you'll have the opportunity later, I think.
Oh, yeah.
All of my notes are like, or it could be Gillenon, guys.
That's gonna be long for that.
Oh my god. Pretty much any time Bioware comes out with something, I'm like, fucking Gillenon!
Yes!
Is
She's
Gillenon the
going
one
to
that
mess so much up.
is Gillenon the one that's going to be the giant like sea monster?
She's going to be the one that's creating that.
Yeah.
Because that's her thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
She
not
could have
creating,
become that, but it's hard to
created,
tell.
probably.
Yeah, she's the one that I am the most excited for.
Yeah.
To see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Most definitely. Scott, would you like to go ahead?
Sure. I kind of have two that I'm tied for. One is going to be Dirthaman, and also
Yeah.
Gillenon.
Nice.
Gillenon mainly because of Tevinter Knights and
Mhm.
oh god, the Eldritch Horror.
Yes.
Oh, dude. Yeah, for real.
And
Dude.
that part of the book was just fabulous, and I really am excited I'm excited to see, because I think one of the things that I think Solus was originally the one that brought up the whole idea of like, hey, the Evanuris aren't who you think they are. While he may have been the first one to bring that up, to Winter Knights, and mainly through Gillenon, we see that, oh yeah, no, they're not what they were. They're not what we think they are. And we actually get to see that. And just seeing just how fucked up Gillenon probably really was.
Oh yeah.
Is going to be...
It gives a lot of teasing for the other ones too, because you're like, was she the worst or not? So that's interesting too.
I don't think though that she's going to be the biggest.
Oh no!
No, I don't think she's going. I don't think she's going to be the biggest thing in Dragon Age 4. Like, if we do see her, I think she's more going to be almost like she's in charge of like the monster spawning. Like, she's in charge of like, we're making our horde, with Millenon's creations. But I don't think she's going to be. She would be like the first boss you fight, or like the second boss you fight.
Mm-hmm.
Dirthamin, on the other hand, like going through Dirthamin's temple in Inquisition, in just the atmosphere of that character, and the fact that he's probably one of the odds-wise, other than because we know Mythal's kicking about. Mm-hmm. Dirthamin probably also has the best chance that he's escaped his containment somehow, or has probably had the most amount of influence. But I also love I'm a sucker for the character who's always in the background, always there, silently manipulating everything. Oh, love it. Love it. And so like with him, and I think he's also going to be an interesting character, because I think he's going to be potentially one of the characters that we can either get on our side in the next Dragon Age game, or just interact with the most without us realizing it.
We might have already in Inquisition without knowing.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why, like, specifically Dirthamin's temple is the one temple that you can go to other than Mythal's. And Mythal's is a plot point, Dirthamin's is a side quest, but still.
Exactly.
Scott, and be real, you talking about that immediately made me like, God damn, I'm so fucking excited.
The thing with Bioware is that side missions and little details are always what you need to look at. So you're like, you didn't show your summon for nothing. There's something there we need to see.
Oh yeah.
I mean, when you look at Inquisition as a whole, as in the whole game, we're excluding the DLCs here, but at least on my end, I think there's more excitement in the side quests related to your companions or the Evanuris, or even the dwarves at one point.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
At least for me, more so than the main story at one point, even, because while I do like the Corypheus plotline, I think there was a lot that could be read between the lines that you could only figure out if you did side quests as well.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, agreed, 100%.
Technically, it's also what Trespasser is about, like showing you that you had the main plot, but did you see that it was more than this? Because it's not just Corypheus. We know what causes everything, so... You're like, oh, I was played great.
Well, and there's still a lot of unanswered questions that are brought up in some of the side quests. Like, we still don't know why there are dwarven ruins topside.
Yeah,
like ancient dwarven ruins topside.
And they pointed that out in one of the trailers too, in the behind the scene. But we could see like the same kind of dwarven ruin above the ground. You're like, oh, so that was maybe something we had to notice.
Yeah. The second question, there's I'm gonna almost elaborate a little bit more on specifically the Evanuris, but there's a lot yet to be discovered.
Yeah,
most definitely.
So who's next?
So I do adore my little duet of Dirthamen and Falundin, not gonna lie. I do think that there are a lot of things that we discovered with Dirthamen's temple, but I think we left with more questions coming out than going in.
Isn't that always the case?
Okay, that's the case for all of them for sure.
You just described Bioware games.
That's true. Like every time I think, yeah, I'm gonna get another piece of lore, but I've gained another 10 questions in turn. Well, okay. So I do enjoy their relationship as supposedly siblings by elven lore, but not necessarily the case.
Twin soul thing?
Sorry, what was that?
The twin soul thing, like with the no family connection, but the two of them being one part, like it's like a coin. One is the other part of the other.
Exactly. There's so they definitely have a relation to each other. What that relation could be of siblings, could be the same person with different sides of the same person. That one I find slightly harder to believe, given supposedly their purpose within the Evanuris. They are connected, but not so connected that they could be the opposite of the same coin, I feel. One leads the dead, and the other is the guardian of all secrets. So already these are two themes that I'm extremely interested in, like mortality within the world of THEDAS, but also what secrets could Dirthamen be guarding? He's the guardian of secrets. You couldn't get more vague than that. Could he be guarding the reason why the Evanuris rose? Could he be guarding the secrets of why they, specifically those ones, were chosen? Anything, really. So really, that's my small but take on my favorite Evanuris.
Nice. All right, Eirin, you're on the floor.
Okay, so I'm gonna. Obviously, my favorite would be Fenrirel because I love his duality. But if the previous podcast speak for itself when it comes to my opinion on Solus. So, but if we keep to the the true Evanuris, if I might say it like this, it would be. I think it would be Dirthamen, because more than Falundin, because Dirthamen was the one able to walk the grey path of the Fade. When Falundin could go beyond the veil, and I really like how he tamed like the ravens, and also the notion of secret he might be keeping, and all the wisdom he gave to the elves, supposedly according to the elven lore. I'm like, what did you give as a knowledge, knowing that you had slaves more than you teach them? So I'm kind of curious of how he was using a slave, if I might say it like this too. So
could be another interpretation of generals. They were all generals in the war. He could have been a strategist specifically.
I think he sound more like this, and Falundin being the more straightforward one.
Or he could have been like Liliana, like a spy master type of thing. Yeah. Or
very good.
Toss the ravens. Toss the two ravens. Which would make sense with that.
Oh man, ravens and Liliana.
I'm telling you, they use symbolism a lot in these games purposefully, especially in Inquisition. So.
I don't know why this is gonna be a bit of a sidetrack, but when I imagined like, Burying the Dead, I'm just imagining him singing "I Have a Friend on the Other Side," and all he's talking about is Falundin.
Yeah, that's a bit of a sidetrack. That still counts. It's fine.
Okay, but shout out for my girl Angel, because no one said her, and I'm only glad for her.
No, I have my reason.
Like, can't we all respect the elf that brought the blight to the world?
No, fuck that bitch.
You mean the one who tied Fenrirel to a tree and used it as how can I say that? Yes, exactly.
Eirin does not like her.
Can't we all respect this fierce woman?
She scares me. That's why I don't like her. She scares the hell out of me.
Can we also talk about the fact that now Solus may or may not have a bondage kink, depending?
Oh, he definitely does.
Well, hey, Patrick already confirmed he's a Nas type of guy, so I wouldn't be surprised if he was something.
as much as a hard time that he gives an Inquisitor who's romancing Bull, I don't know.
Yeah, I was
He's like
about
the
to
one
say,
that's like, I hope it's not tying you down.
No.
I hope he is. Sorry.
I mean, I'm sorry, no one's even brought up June, so whatever.
Everyone always
Wait.
forgets her, and which is sad.
June is just sitting there in the back crocheting, just like
I'm sorry. I always think June is a woman
And the
because of
Stylies, the poor girl. She's even worse than June on that.
Stylies.
Wait, isn't June a guy? No.
June is a guy. Yeah, I was
June is a
saying
guy,
like, sorry, it's because of Roman stuff. I always think it's a female, and then I look it up.
I'm just imagining like when the Fade drops in Dragon Age 4, June actually isn't gonna go out there and fight. June has just been like, nah man, in the Fade I've gotten so much shit done. Are you kidding me? I'm not y'all can go fuck off. I'm just gonna keep on crocheting.
I
June's
have
also
my
just
idea
swole as
about
fuck. I've been getting shit done in the Fade. He's just
I have my
huge.
idea about him, so I think he did more than we think he did.
I mean,
Mhm.
probably, but
he's a crafter, so maybe the orb has something to do with him too.
Ah, I like that. That's a good one. like
I
that.
wouldn't be surprised if he was like the weapon master and just like
Yeah.
developed these like
Well, technically
insanely
it is.
crazy weapons.
Technically, it is. He is, because the Dalish use him for the bells and everything.
Hmm.
And there's also this might not be into the real like lore since it's from the comics. So I'm not even sure it's like deep into it, but the sarcophagus you can see in the Blue Wraith,
Hmm.
aka the thing that gave Fenris his beautiful tattoos, Lyrian tattoos.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
It doesn't work on humans and possibly not on Kunari. I
don't even think it would fit. I don't think it would fit.
Probably not.
Maybe a baby Kunari then.
I'm just imagining someone like Iron Bull trying to fit in one,
No.
and just like even if they got one to the like silhouette size, I'm just imagining just gong
And
gong.
anyway, I
I'm
think
looking it up right now.
It would do the same thing like it did for a human. That would just make a human bomb not living long. And so with what we know about Fenris, I'm like, what if it was a tool that Juni created to create weapons out of his slaves?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that actually makes sense to me.
I really like that, like him being like, "Oh, I have slaves. They're mine. Hey, come, be weapons for the war."
Mm-hmm. And
Oh,
I'm just
what?
like, instead of normal lyrium, red lyrium was a thing. Like, we
Yeah.
could.
I
I
that's
really think
that's kind of the point in Blue Wraith, is that you
Yeah.
kind of reveal that they want to do the same thing that happened with Fenris, but they want to use red lyrium.
Yeah. I think that they were doing that before. Like, I think that Evanuris were doing that.
I kind of think
Possibly,
that something happened, aka the veil, that stopped them from trying, but maybe they found a way to do it anyway. 'Cause-
There are pieces
Hello,
of,
horror formac.
there are pieces of art spread throughout THEDAS in Dragon Age Inquisition where you have elven warriors on Halla that are painted, like the
Red.
elven warriors themselves are painted in red. Like,
Yeah.
red lyrium was used at some point, either for armor or something, but it has been used.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, maybe that's what Mythol tried to stop, if I might say it this way, because I'm not even sure with Mythol anymore. And that's maybe why she was killed, because she didn't want to follow those kind of red lyrium experiment to make weapons. And the other were like, oh, well, we do without you.
Mm-hmm.
Bit of a loaded question now. What do you think happened to the Evanuris? As in, perhaps to be more specific, how do you think that they rose to fame and how they fell? Other than what we know of Souls, what
Those are two
could be-
extremely different questions.
Yes.
What do you think happened to them? They got locked away in the Fade, and you're like, okay,
Yeah.
well, how do they rise to power?
No.
More
First
like
how they rose
how.
and then how they fell.
That's still...
Yeah. Okay. So how they
See,
rose then?
This is when I'm gonna slightly shit on Solus, so sorry everybody.
Oh, you can.
But we're in it. I guess I'm taking chart, answering the question first.
Yeah,
Shit. and this is probably just my forensics background pissing me off, because you realize, like, okay, Solus drops a lot, I'm not going to deny that. Until you look into it and you realize, Jesus Christ, he told us fucking nothing! Because, like, he leaves out so much context.
Mm-hmm.
It just drives me nuts when I look at that, especially now that I've gotten into the series, and I look at the Trespasser scene, and I try to analyze, and it's just like, you give us nothing, Solus!
He holds his cards very close to his chest
Yes.
and will only reveal things when he needs to, and only, like, at the barest minimum that he has.
Solus
He doesn't have any interest on telling everything to the Inquisitor, because it's for him, it's not someone he would include in his plans. So anyway.
Well, no, it totally makes sense. Like, I understand from a character point of view why he would do that. Damn it, Solus, be a little bit more emotionally vulnerable and tell me more things. Because, like, the big thing is that we leave out, like, we bring up, there was a war. Okay, with who?
Started with the war, yeah?
With who? What? What was going on? Who were the major players?
Yeah.
And then, obviously, as time went on, they just became more and more powerful to the point of essentially being revered as gods. At least according to him. The one thing that gets me is, I almost think of, like, I imagine something like, imagine someone bringing up World War I without any of the context.
Yep.
Who's Archduke Franz Ferdinand?
Well, yeah, or, like, I'm a bit of a history buff, and I've studied a lot
too.
about World War I, so it's just like, you realize the complexity of that situation, and how messy it was, and all the players involved. And now just imagine casually referencing it, and
there
just
was
like,
a war.
yeah, it literally could have, like, granted, it could have been on the scale of World War I, or it could have been less than that. And then there's you could almost say the Solus Rebellion or the Civil War with the Evanuris. So, which those are two separate events, completely. And it's just like, okay, we're missing a lot here. Can you know, and one of the things is, when you, granted this is much more of an issue when you study more ancient civilization, there's just so much missing context. Just, like, this was written probably before any written record, you know? As far as I am aware of, you know, and I may be wrong on this, so lore nerds, please correct me if I'm wrong. But really, this is probably, you know, when we, like, into Winter Nights with, what is that story we were just referencing earlier?
Jenna TV dies in the end.
No.
Horrors of Hormac?
Horrors of Hormac, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, the murals in Horrors of Hormac were the first time where we've actually, from, like, the archaeological context, we would describe that as, like, the first source from that time. That is actually would be dated to the time when the Evanuris were still kicking.
Yeah, it's the only proof we have that's not Solus words, like that we, at least that was identified in the book clearly by the fact that it's art and story for the ancient Helvan history.
Yeah.
After we have hints, but Solus said things, but since he's the only one talking about it, you, like, yeah, but I'm taking side with you because you didn't agree with them. So what if you took it wrong? So you have just one side of the story, while with the murals, there's not a huge room for interpretation here. And even the character in the story was first, oh, that's beautiful. Wait, but they're all frightened. Wait a minute, this is weird.
Oh yeah, exactly. And it at least, in kind of like what I said earlier, it shows this is really the first evidence of what Solus is saying. Was like, yeah, no, the Evanuris were not who you thought they were.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess it's my turn. I don't know, Scott. Are you?
I mean, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So here's what I think from looking at the murals in game, what Solus has told us, and kind of from the books. And this like leans heavily on the Descent and Trespasser.
Mm-hmm.
So the Evanuris were, I would say, we've got 9 different people who are of high power. Maybe not Fen'Harel, but at least the other 8 for sure, that are warring over Titans. Because if you kill a Titan, the heart of the Titan is a foci, which is a source of power. You also get the lyrium from their blood, maybe some red lyrium if someone accidentally finds a blighted Titan.
Mhm.
And so they're all battling over killing as many Titans as they can, which is why they have so many foci.
Mm-hmm.
That's our great war. So they're not only battling to get as many Titans as they can, but they're also like battling each other, trying to one-up each other in like a power struggle.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, the Titans go underground. Also, the dwarves go underground. And there's nothing really to fight over after that other than like just power struggle. And that's when they're slowly but surely becoming gods because they're just so powerful at this point. Like no one else can touch them.
And aka the starting of the upcoming war with the Forgotten Ones, which we know didn't occur yet.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, and by the way, there's lizard men somewhere in here.
Dude, I want the lizard men so bad, Scott. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, there's lizard men somewhere. We don't know.
Dude,
There's
I want
lizard-
them so bad. I've been so excited.
Why is the lizard men always brought up?
Dude, ever since I read about them, I'm like, where the fuck are the lizard men? Come on, bring them in.
No, we don't even read about them. We just have a picture of a lizard man.
Exactly. That counted as reading it.
Do you
You know
know
what I
what
mean?
Just a quick question for you, Asia.
Uh-huh.
So you said that the war started slowing down when they went underground.
Yeah, I think the Titans eventually were like, you know what? F this. We're not going to be hunted anymore. And they're hiding beneath the ground, quote unquote, because of... We don't know exactly what THEDAS looked like before the veil.
Mm-hmm.
So
They're underground with the lizard men.
And
No,
the shower stall.
that is my question. You mean that because it all indicates that the Evanuris brought the fight to the dwarves in their turf.
Oh, yeah. That's why the shower tall are, like, armed to the teeth.
Exactly. So you mean that as far as the deep roads, the Evanuris probably went, but not the Uncharted Abyss, I think is what it's called?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uncharted
Okay.
Abyss.
Maybe they
I-
couldn't enter. Maybe they couldn't at the time.
Yeah. Like,
Just
I
being-
honestly think the Titans, like, created the deep roads along with the dwarves.
Yeah, I think it
yeah.
was some kind of protection, and
Right.
maybe they couldn't access like this part of the Titans, of the lair of the Titans.
Well, to connect the Titans that still existed together.
Yeah, while the veil wasn't there.
Right.
Once the veil was there, the protection wasn't there anymore because they didn't need it, and
Right.
maybe
Yeah.
because they couldn't like keep it up.
Right.
I also
Which
think
also
too-
answers the question of why there's dwarven ruins above ground. Because at some time, the dwarves were above ground.
Yeah.
I think one thing as well that might be interesting with the Evanuris, and kind of because with the Evanuris and the Fate and stuff like that, you almost see these themes of like warping reality with like dreams and stuff like that, and being able to bend reality.
Mhm.
And I think what's interesting about the Titans and a lot of the dwarves is it's almost like you're talking about like the dream realm versus reality.
Mhm.
And where like the Titans were able to create mountains that were real. They were able to create beings that were real, versus in the Fade, you had a lot more control and you could do stuff like that, but it never was actually real. And I think that's almost where like almost a conflict of ideology occurred.
Mhm.
Because the Fade wasn't really there to connect them, they could probably flow in between each other and probably had conflicts. And almost maybe the Evanuris were jealous of that.
My
Well-
only problem with that is that the Fade wasn't really the Fade we know before.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
just in the
That's what I
real
was kind
world.
of...
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up. Like, the Fate didn't exist the way that we know it. back
Well, yeah,
then.
and that's what I was trying to
It was
say, is
real.
that... Yeah. And that's what I was trying to say a little bit, was like, the Fade, at that point, operated a little different. Well, we know it operated differently, but how much we don't know.
There's likely very little difference between reality and the fate per se.
Yeah, I think that wasn't even like a fate word and a real word. It was something like mixing together, and Solus separated it.
Yeah. So, like, what you see in the library in Trespasser is very similar to what THEDAS would be like. Although there's pieces missing because the veil exists now.
Exactly.
In less broken. We would say less broken.
Less broken. But that's ideally what it would look like. But that's also, like, that would also explain why dwarves are cut off from the Fade. Like, the Titans wanted nothing to do with whatever the Evanuris were messing with, so they were like, yep, you guys, you're not going to be affected by this at all. We will protect you in this little bubble.
That's actually what they try to do with Templars. That's at a lesser measure, I think. Because they're taking lyrium to know how to resist magic and possession.
Right. And it's at some point Solus says like lyrium will start slowly but surely cut you off from the Fade. So
So next Eirin or Ethan, whichever one wants to begin.
I have like not a lot to say since Asia basically like summarized a lot of it.
Sorry.
Well, good. Say what you have left then.
That's okay because like I talk about that with you and Halla, so we kind of have the same like picture of the whole thing. So I don't know what to add more.
Okay, Ethan, any insane theories to add?
So
that do not involve lizard men.
I didn't even get to my insane theory of where I think they are. So
I was about to say, if you need some crack theories, I am your man.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
AJ, you go with your actual theories. I'll come in the rear with the crack theories.
Love it. That's the next question too. Right? So where they are and all that. But okay. So unlike all of you, I am very non-imaginative at first. I need time to brew. So
your LSD dreams back to differ.
I need all my good all my good thinking goes when I'm sleeping. But that's why I'm more of a when it comes to the theory stuff. That's why I go to you guys into the other YouTubers and stuff. Because I'm not good at coming up with the theories, but once the theories are out there, I'm like, oh my god!
Oh my gosh!
I can't believe this! They slowly take off the sunglasses. Jesus Christ.
Mother of God.
Yeah, mother of God.
That was me playing Trespasser just the entire time.
Pretty much every few seconds taking off my sunglasses. Solus.
Any mural, any lore that was dropped, it was just me being like, my god.
Me too, and I think I like lost it when I saw the murals with a bald elf taking away like the Valastrin. I'm like, don't say anything, Cole. Please don't speak. I'm gonna kill you if you do.
That was me with the Titan one. Like that was when I was just like,
that too.
Mind blown.
Yeah,
The decence makes sense.
It finally makes sense. I can't hate it as much as I do anymore.
Yeah. First, when you see the DLC, like, what? I don't care about that. Why there? Where's the link? Because I didn't see the link and I was annoyed. And after Trespasser, I was, that's the freaking link.
It all comes together.
Yeah, I will have to say, and I think some of it was I already had Trespasser spoiled for me before I played him. I enjoyed the Descent DLC way more in that regard because I think it answered more questions than... the Descent DLC answered more questions than it asked.
For once, yeah.
Yeah, and the fact that it was just it brought up a topic that just hadn't really been talked about, and just shit came out of left field that left me more excited. Not to say Trespasser didn't, but more of the oh wow, oh this is no.
No.
I'm too bad at video games to like the Descent because it just kicks my ass. But
yeah, exactly. That's
The
why
one thing I will
mad at
say
it.
that drives me nuts, though, are the weapons the dwarves have.
The Shabertal, yeah.
oh my god, dude, the fucking
Yeah.
crossbows.
I
you-
want that.
No. They got 3 British Sten machine guns,
Yeah.
holding them together, and started shooting you.
Pretty
and
fucking much.
And I'm just thinking, bitch, how is that fair?
Dude, it's such a pain in the ass. I was
Yeah, you're like, hear this with this damage.
Oh,
Why
dude.
did you choose that during the blight? I
can't
needed
even-
you to the pros.
I can't
It's
even tell
even
you
worse-
how many times I fucking died in that part.
Yeah, it's even worse in multiplayer because it's not until like the 3rd level that the Shabertal show up if you have the Shabertal level, and it's like, oh no, I can do nothing.
This is a very quick sidetrack. That's more for me and Scott because I don't know how much y'all have played Mass Effect, if at all. But I know. Besides Asia, yeah. Sorry.
Ouch.
I'm the only one
They
who
just got left
Oh.
with the gun.
Offended.
Yeah.
Well, I know Aaron. I know the Holla's never played it, so that's why I said that mostly. And also, Aaron, you don't really talk about Mass Effect too much. So I haven't heard you talk too much about it.
Well, it's just that you say so much stuff. I'm like, I don't want to send a 4-page stuff, so I'm gonna shut up.
Well,
Anyway.
mostly I was gonna say that y'all talk about like big moments that made you go like, "Dear God," that was me with the Leviathan DLC.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
The entire Leviathan DLC, I was like, "Oh my God, everything's connecting. It all makes sense." And then I also have like this thing where here you go, everybody out there, if you're planning to murder me, that I'm like terrified of like deep water and open water and shit like that.
Oh,
So that submarine scene when you're going down in the mech was like absolute hell for me.
Mhm.
Like I was having actual like fucking hyperventilating, like, oh my God, like the whole time.
Wait a minute. You're afraid of the deep waters, yet you live in the New England area?
Yes, I Massachusetts man, and very much don't like water because it's big scary. Literally, I was. This is totally even more off course. Now I'm talking about Assassin's Creed, but in Assassin's Creed, they have like specifically Odyssey. I played 111 hours of Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
oh, this one, I know what you're
And,
talking
yeah,
about.
and there's a lot of fucking ships and like, you know, moving around and boats and stuff. And there's times where you got to go underwater.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh.
especially if you're like me and you wanted to platinum the game really bad. So there was times where like I knew I had to go underwater and I'm standing on my boat and I'm looking down and I'm like, "Oh, fuck." For like at least like 2 minutes, and my older brother would like come over and he'll sit next to me and he'll be like, "Dude, just fucking go." And I'm like, "I'm sorry, give me a second." You know, I'm just having a fucking panic attack, and then I go in, and then the whole time I'm like, "Oh my God, oh my God."
I'm guessing Black Flag must have been a ball for you then.
I think Black Flag was like before I hit the apex of my fear,
Mhm.
so it wasn't as
Oh.
bad. But
Okay.
but it was definitely like anxiety, but it wasn't that bad. Now every
Okay.
time there's an underwater mission in the game, I'm just like, oh God, I want to die.
Well,
Oh.
especially in the Mass Effect one, because like you barely have control. Like
That's fucking
the
scary,
point.
too,
And
dude. It's dark as fuck.
It's really upset. Yeah, it's upsetting because
It's
you're
so-
like, just move, but the mech can't because it's so deep underwater.
It's so fucking scary, man.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take it off of that now. We can go back to Dragon Age.
Now that you have rightfully scared the shit out of yourself.
Yes, now that I am having panic attack, I'm okay.
Please don't
Okay.
do that. Ethan.
No, I'm not really. I'm
Who's
just.
next to answer the third question?
Oh wait, Halla, did you go for the last one?
Not yet. Not yet.
No, but I don't have much to add.
I
other
didn't
than-
either.
Sorry, I didn't mean to take everyone's answer.
Oh, don't
Hey,
worry
you're
about
fine.
it. Don't worry
Girl, we
about it.
have
No,
this-
the only thing I have to add is I'm still very curious as to what was the catalyst for the war, in the sense that I think it was definitely Mythal turning away from the same objectives as the other Evanuris. The
Mhm.
thing that I wondered is exactly what made her turn.
Yeah.
Was it the introduction of red lyrium? Was it because I don't think she was against slavery. She had people who
No.
followed her
Hmm.
for sure.
When you see her temple, she was definitely not against it.
Exactly. And they bore her Valasline, so that's definitely... I do not think slavery was the issue. Perhaps what they were doing to the slaves after something, my guess is perhaps red lyrium.
I can see that.
Maybe related.
Yeah,
Exactly.
maybe when you see her well, maybe that corrupted the knowledge they had, that she couldn't like use it anymore or something like this. I thought about that because we know that's the knowledge of all the people who followed Mythal. So maybe they couldn't like give the knowledge once they returned or something. So maybe she was, hey, I need my people for that.
And then, of course, the war happened. They gained more and more power through delirium and the foci that they obtained. And I'm guessing that by the time that Solus finally closes the veil, he has to leave something behind as well to ensure that the veil stays closed. In this case, I was talking to Eirin that there's a particular line. This was Cole saying it. He broke the dreams to stop the old dreams from waking. So he broke the fate, perhaps, to stop the old gods, aka Evanuris, from
That's what it
waking.
sounds like to me.
Yep.
Exactly. And
Sounds
then,
legit.
Yeah,
But-
then there's the whole topic of like, who are the old gods? Exactly.
But there's something more to this sentence.
exactly.
Okay, sorry.
There's
The
no more to it.
wolf, the wolf chews its leg off to escape the traps. So I'm guessing the trap he set to lure the Evanuris inside whatever he trapped them in, the void,
Was himself.
the Black City. Who knows? Possibly both. It could be both.
I think it was a
And-
piece of him, like Mythal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think like we also have a quote. I don't have it right now in mind, but we know. Oh yes. No, we have it. We have it. We have.
We do?
He did not want a body, but she asked him to come. He left a scar when he burned her off his face.
Da-da-da-da.
Oh,
Happened is that Mythal was maybe the one summoning Solus, aka what we said in the previous podcast, probably spirit of wisdom or knowledge or something. And since he was the one who brought him up, the Evanuris, after they killed her, were like, we need to end him too, because he's gonna mess with us and we don't have time for this shit. So maybe he lured them while using his spirit part, because he didn't want a body. I mean, was probably a spirit first.
Mm-hmm.
Same
And
thing.
that would maybe
ahead.
trap them and lure them into where they were trapped, and Solus was like, I give up that, but at least you won't hurt anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I'm wondering, one thing that might be interesting to build on the theory is that we almost see in a lot of like the promotional stuff that there's almost like two sides of Solus. There's the side of Solus we see, and then the Dread Wolf.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if that spirit side of him that was left obviously got corrupted over time because, you know, it probably was left with the other Evanuris who were like, well, we're pissed off, and this is a part of the person that we're pissed off at, so might as well take our anger out on this shit.
If you
Especially
look at
showing-
the
Man.
last mural that came out in the newest trailer, you see that the wolf looks very odd in the mural. The eyes look very oddly placed, and then there's all the blood, maybe red lyrium in his mouth. It's hard to tell, really. So maybe he's already been corrupted while staying on the other side, where the Evanuris were also trapped in.
Yeah.
And it would also make sense knowing that if it was a spirit of knowledge or wisdom, we know that they turn into pride demons because we actually saw that
Mm-hmm.
in the Inquisition. So it would make sense for him to be called Solus at this point. And so you have like the side of Solus and Fenarel, and Tevinter Knights really showed up that the two are very different.
Exactly.
So I just want to expand a little bit on what you were saying with, like, we're not sure about Mythal and why this fraction happened. There is the point where, like, Mythal gets really mad at Andrel when Andrel is hunting the Forgotten Ones. So that might actually be the thing. Like, I think that whole story of Andrel fighting the Forgotten Ones, or like the Forbidden Ones, that's when the Blight is brought into play, and that's what makes Mythal mad. And she's like, that's you've brought the blight. Can we stop now?
Exactly.
I think that's
You
where it was.
You dumb fucked up.
She was eager to stop it in Origin because she saved the wardens for one reason. Like, you stop this shit.
Right,
Okay?
exactly.
I saved you for one purpose. You do that and you shut your mouth and you go. And you take my daughter with you.
Right.
I mean, it could all come down to the blight if you consider that red lyrium is a corrupted form of the normal lyrium.
Mhm.
So, calling it blighted lyrium could possibly also be a hypothesis here.
And it would explain like the Fenrir and the tree tale too, with Endrin being mad at Fenrir because Fenrir tried to take off Endril's possible lover, or at least huge interest. So yeah, that kind of links up together.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been theorizing that Solus is a hoe, so...
I mean, yeah, basically.
So do we get so in Inquisition, do we get Solus in his non-commitment stage at the age?
Afraid
and
of
then
commitment.
afraid of commitment, and then previously he had gone through his hoe phase.
Yep.
He said that he was very cocky while young, and I'm like, well, judging by how Fenrir and the tree is going, I guess you were.
Oh, you remember the Sarah lines that he had with her about trying to piss magic? Oh, that's so... Tried to piss magic? No. Wait. No.
No.
Why did you hesitate? That was so good.
Yeah.
I'm kind of wondering now if it's possible. Just think.
Ask Solus in the next game, maybe.
Dude! I have questions!
I suppose you have a question. Yes!
But yes, first one!
Did you piss magic? Like, for real?
Oh, God.
Okay, so next question is going to be, where do you think they are right now?
Exactly.
Exactly. Okay. Exactly is somewhere in between THEDAS and Margaritaville, right in the middle.
That's a tough one.
I mean, do you want the tinfoil hat?
Yes.
Okay.
Rhetorical question.
Alright. This, if you do Dalish origin beginning in Origins, and there is a mirror that Meryl's clan is, and I don't remember the clan name, is taken care of, and your friend...
Isn't it Mahariel?
Is it? They're taking care of a very weird-looking Illuvian, and then you walk into it. And so does your friend. It's Tamlin, right? Am I remembering his name right? Yeah. And Tamlin gets stuck, and the warden doesn't, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, Duncan says that, that Illuvian has the blight. And we know that that's not possible because, living things can only get the blight.
Mm-hmm.
However, I do think that there is some blight in the place that the Illuvian leads to, and I also think that Illuvian is the prison where all of the Evanuris were contained. Thank you. That is my tinfoil hat theory.
So,
quick question before you move on. Do you think then, if that is an Illuvian is an entrance or an exit, depending on how you used to use it, do you think it could be used by whatever is trapped in there then to get out?
I think that was the trap. Solus lured them into that Illuvian. And you can actually, and you can actually see that Illuvian in the crossroads if you do the fly cam thing.
Oh, true.
If you pause the game and you fly cam, that Illuvian is there, and it's shut down basically, but it's very clearly there.
Mm.
But it's grayed out just like it is on Meryl's side. But that's also why Meryl can't fix it.
Because it's already broken.
It's already broken.
Mm.
Or at least the path is cut.
Yeah.
So Illuvians, once broken, can never be reconstituted then?
I mean, we don't know that for sure yet. I'm sure there's some kind of old elven magic. Solus could probably fix one if he needed to.
I don't know, because there's a whole bunch of broken Illuvians in Trespasser as well. Because the Kunari were breaking them like crazy.
Yeah, but I still think that doesn't mean that they necessarily can't be fixed. I imagine that the farther back you go, the older the elf, they'll know how to fix that kind of thing.
That's true, and that like again, because Meryl's looking for whatever that dagger is or whatever that part is to fix the mirror, and she's convinced that would fix it. And like it might have fixed a normal illuvian, but that is not a normal illuvian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All depends if we consider illuvian as doors, because it seems to be that kind of way. It depends if you repair the door or the road behind the door. Like if the path is broken or cut, maybe the illuvian won't wake up. And if the path was blighted, then maybe it can't be open again because it was destroyed like this.
Yep,
so
that's possible.
One thing though that I do find is interesting is we know Solus's goal is he's going to tear down the Fade. And in doing so, when he tears down the Fade, the Evanuris are going to come out, and he's going to have to deal with them. Which is totally going to go to plan, he swears.
And it'll totally work.
Yeah, totally work, no problems whatsoever. So, what I'm curious on, though, is it's kind of been established that the Illuvians are separate from the Fade. That they're almost their own pocket dimension, in my D&D brain. That's how I would consider them. They're pocket dimensions, effectively. So now, all of a sudden, is there now a relationship with the Illuvians and the Fade?
Maybe an in-between thing?
Yeah, maybe. And maybe, like, tearing them down will reconnect all of them, maybe?
The way that Morgan...
I like that idea. I subscribe to that.
Morgan explains the crossroads as like a world between worlds.
Yeah.
And you also
Star
can't
Wars.
remain there for very long either.
Sorry.
No, I got it, Ethan.
Okay, good. Okay. Go ahead, sorry.
No, when I was watching Rebels, I was like, you've got Dragon Age in my Star Wars. I don't know what's going on here. But the question of how long is the time that you can remain there is like a big question mark, because she says that she stays there while she has Kieran, and it's like, okay, so does she stay there for like a year, 2 years? Like, was Kieran a toddler when she left? What's going on?
Yeah. Well, and I also know in oh god, what is the name of the book? Sorry, it's 9 o'clock in the morning.
Dude, you good? Don't worry.
Are you talking about Masked Empire?
Thank you. It was like Empire something.
I was about to start naming them off, but I was like, he'll get it.
You know, the worst part is, I focus on the books and comics. Why can I not remember the titles, for fuck's sake?
I do the same thing.
With Empress Celine and all of them, I mean, they travel through there as well, and I think they're only there for maybe a few days at most. So
2 to 3 days, something like that, apparently.
Yeah, 2 or 3 days. So we know at least you can theoretically survive a few days at minimum. Granted, things may try to kill you in that time, but
not if you're an elf. Apparently, you've been your best ever if you're in there, but you have to be an elf.
And don't forget that Morrigan technically is sure Flemeth's daughter, but then she's also Mythal's daughter.
Yeah.
Sure.
So there might be something with that. A bit of
some elf blood in there, probably.
I don't know.
I don't think she's physically Mythal's Flemeth's daughter.
No, but that's even with that, they have maybe a bit of magic that Mythal could give a bit to be able to go inside Morrigan or late Yavanna. Thank you for goodbye to Yavanna, but maybe they have like this predisposition to become the new host for Mythal. So maybe they have a little bit of ancient Helven magic in them.
Okay. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
I don't know. I like the headcanon that Morrigan is just such a badass that she can just like, oh, hi, Revenant guy.
Well, she is my wife, so of course. She is the mother of my child.
My wife.
My wife.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh,
mean-
God.
It could be explained to a degree that they could not be related. Mythal could be literally choosing them as children
Mhm.
Yeah,
and giving some of herself to her children, hence the eyes that she has
That-
in common with.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that I agree with.
yeah, because I was about to say, this sounds much more of a possession sort
Yeah.
of deal than it does
Mhm.
a, you know, a
Yeah, it could be.
passing off genetic sort of deal.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I
that's-
bet, and this is going to tinfoil deep end, but I guess that once she chooses them, she can give a part of herself that ensures that they can inherit whatever is gonna be the next body, I guess.
Mhm.
Again, hence the eyes. Honestly, the eyes always reminded me of dragon eyes. I don't know if
Mhm.
there's a connection there, but I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's intentional.
Mm-hmm.
and technically the Evanuris could turn into dragons, so maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
I have a quick question. Who are we on with? Where do you think they are? Asian and Scott went, right?
I gave my tinfoil hat one.
Scott, did you even go?
I didn't know. I just said the theory,
Oh, okay.
and then
Okay.
tinfoil.
Yeah, we all took tinfoil took over everybody's brains at the same time. I'm like, where were we?
Okay, so I guess I'm somehow the last man standing. Cool.
Oh, you don't have to if you don't want to. We can go next person if you want. If you need a minute.
No, I have my ideas.
Okay.
I will say, I love the Alluvian idea. If I was more of a gambling man, though, if I was a gambling man and wanted to go for a safer bet, I would say more somewhere deep within the Fade. I think the Black City is in consideration, though I have a sneaky suspicion. I don't think they're in the Black City. Like, a part of me at the same time thinks that the Black City is a likely option and isn't a likely option at the same time, because the Black City seems to be almost a separate entity from everything else. Like, it is very much its own thing.
I agree.
So I think, and especially with the fact, I guess the counterpoint would be, well, Corypheus and the Architect probably would have encountered the Evanuris when they went there. So you would think that they would have run into him and been like, oh, hey, you're already... Oh, shit, there's people here. Fuck.
The Throne of the Gods isn't empty after all.
Yeah, but obviously, I mean, you're dealing with ancient history. The Architect doesn't even remember everything there. Corypheus's memory is a little... So... So a part of me thinks, and also I think where they're going to take the Black City is, especially because it has such ties to a lot of Androsteism, and Bioware has specifically said, like, we're kind of staying away from that because of just the connotations of the Maker.
Yeah.
That I'm wondering if they're going to keep the Black City separate and just be like, it is older than the Evanuris. The Evanuris were referencing it when they were kicking and stuff like that. So that would be an interesting thought, but we'll see. But my best guess, they're somewhere deep in the Fade, because the only issue I have with the Alluvian theory is, kind of like I said earlier, if they're meant, especially the World Between Worlds, if those are meant to be separate entities, and obviously there are Alluvians that lead into the Fade, then why, in theory, in some of the places, it would not affect if the Alluvian, it would not affect the Alluvians if the Fade went down, in theory. Or if the Veil went down. Granted, I could be wrong, but, in theory, they should still be able to work just the same.
It should.
I definitely agree with that. Yeah.
So, I just want to throw in right there because we brought up the Black City. So, here's other tinfoil hat part of that. What if Arlathan is actually the Black City?
Ooh.
That's
I do
actually
agree.
what I
like
wanted to
that.
say.
You
Yeah.
have my curiosity, but now you have my attention.
I can maybe help you on that, because, like, what you say about where the Evanuris could be, Scott, is exactly what I think. I don't think they are in the Black City, but I think they were in the Black
Mhm.
City.
Mhm.
I
Okay.
think that when you see the timeline, especially in World of THEDAS, with the chronological order they give you, you can actually see that the first blight and the Magister going into the Black City, breaking up there,
Mm-hmm.
is oddly close to the fall of Arthan. First
Okay.
and second, okay, so that's another theory linked to the Evanuris. But if you take that the trapped Evanuris could be the Archdemon, aka or the Old Gods, more separately the Old Gods. What if they called the Magister into the Black City to be a little bit more free from the Black City?
Mhm.
To be able to
Ye-
wander around and mess things up in the Fade, so going deeper in the Fade to remain hidden.
So for all
Maybe.
intents and purposes, the Chantry, the Andrastian Chantry was right.
Yeah.
The unwittingly, the Magisters did start the arrival of the Blight in THEDAS.
Yeah.
But because they freed the Evanuris from their
Ah.
actual prison where
Yep.
Soul set them up.
Mm.
Yep.
Okay. But
So
so
now-
they're still in the Fade, but they're just not in their prisons in the Black City.
Yeah.
That once was Arlathan.
And maybe the Illuvian led to the prison, but since the prison were tainted and actually not working anymore, then the Illuvian stopped working correctly.
Right.
And was
I'm
right.
loving this. I'm loving all of this. Keep feeding
Hence
me.
why I think that they were trapped in that alluvium, because if it's blighted, like that's
Mm.
that's where they were captured, and then when the Magisters went in, they were like, "Oops, blight."
Yeah,
See,
your
okay.
theories really helped me with that. I'm like, yes, my theory.
I just have this beautiful headcanon of all the Evanuris being freed from the prison, and they're just like, fuck yeah, we're gonna get Solus, that son of a bitch, trapping
Yeah.
us. And then they get trapped in the Illuvian, they're like, God fucking damn it!
It's gonna be like Zod from Superman. Just fucking put him in the glass to set him off.
Yeah, and they're just like, how could we fall for this? We did, Solus didn't even trap us here. We did.
But yeah, and the only reason why, like, I had started thinking on that Arlathan thing is when Corypheus is like, the city was never gold. I was like, you know what? What if it was never gold? Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. The one issue I kind of have with the theory, and don't get me wrong, I do love me and my good tinfoil crack theories. The only issue I have with it is we do have, unfortunately, we have Andrastianism, which kind of brings up the fact that the Golden City was there to begin with. And I think the only thing is, the biggest problem is we need to, where I think a simple timeline could answer that question of like, when were the first references of the Golden City or like Andrastianism,
Mm-hmm.
and when is the timeline for the Evanuris and all
So-
that stuff.
Yes, I
For
think
the Evanuris, it's complicated because it's in ancient, and the calendars that refer to anything before ancient are non-existent. They were destroyed.
Well,
So
yeah,
what's
exactly. And we know when Corypheus goes into the Black City, they were trying to go to the Golden City to find they were trying to find the Golden City.
Mhm.
So it's like, oh,
They heard whisperings from their old gods. I cannot recall which one. Razikel, I believe.
it's probably
yeah,
Mexico.
Raziel.
Yeah.
Exactly. And as I understand, Razikel was the one who told them the way and basically blood sacrifice and the amount of people they would need to sacrifice to get into the Black City.
Yeah, it was
Well,
too
yeah.
bad to recall.
So
Yeah. But the thing is that they talked about, they reference it as the Golden City.
Mhm.
And so it's like, okay, we already have the idea of this city was golden. Granted, it could still be. It's just, I feel like a simple timeline could really just answer that question of like, okay, could it have been Arlathan, or is Arlathan possibly older?
Yeah. The reason... Sorry, cut you off. Good.
You good?
Right. Well, the reason that I like it so much is that, like, one of my favorite things about a lot of the lore in Dragon Age is a lot of it is this is Andraste stuff, and then once they extrapolate it, you realize, oh, it's not Andraste shit. It's actually Elven stuff that the humans think.
Yeah, that's
so like. Yeah, that's why.
That's what I've been trying to bring up. Like, in Jaws of Hakon, you have a literal shrine that's Andrastian and Elven together. So, like, who's to say that the Andrastian religion didn't pick bits and pieces of Elven legends?
Oh, absolutely.
Legends to bring into the Andrastian storyline, which is why I'm like, there was no Golden City. They made that up to warn people from using magic.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting because I apologize now for bringing up religion in this podcast.
You're fine, dude.
But with obviously Andrastianism taking a lot of cues from Christianity, you can find a lot of stories and practices of Christianity in either one Jewish from Jewish practices, which is theorized they got a lot of their practices from Zionism, or just other different pagan religions, where it was very common to incorporate different
incorporate
stuff. Yeah, from other pantheons. That was incredibly common in the ancient era. It really wasn't until Christianity took a hold when the annihilation of religions really became a thing, and we kind of see that similar, or at least somewhat mirrored, in Dragon Age.
Oh, I think that's purposeful.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah. So, so I would not be surprised if so many of these stories with them. Well, damn it! Now I just unconvinced my critique. Damn it.
That's what this conversation does, baby. We're going.
Yeah, so I think it could be possible where it's like a lot of these stories were originally came from Elven sources. Granted, it then perpetuates that elves are older than everything, and everything's about the elves.
Yeah.
And then the dwarves are just sitting there in the corner, like, well, what about us assholes?
And that will also explain I won't say the utility of Jaws of Hakon, because I like this DLC, but it would explain why they brought us that, and the fact that we have first the shrine, and second the story of like the Chantry is false because a Meriden wasn't human, it was an elven mage, and they didn't say it was a mage or an elf, and that just put in perspective that maybe the Chantry adapted a lot of things because they didn't like elven mages or elven in general.
Maybe.
And
I didn't
shorten erase from history too.
So I didn't really start to buy into that tinfoil hat theory that I explained until Jaws of Hakon, and then it was like, oh, you really can't trust anything that the Andrastian chant teaches.
Yeah.
Okay.
One thing as well that does make it a little interesting is, Brent, I think a lot of it is just more from our cultural perspective. When we think of things like gods and things like that, we think of these, perfect, all-powerful beings. When you look at a lot of ancient history, many gods that were worshipped were not perfect. The Greek pantheon is a really good example. Is there a creator in the Greek pantheon that created everything? There is. They're not the main focus of worship, though. That's why you have things like, they focus on Zeus and things like that. With Norse mythology, it's the same way. I'm sure you can find it. Eastern religions are, like Hinduism, you see that as where you're not dealing with purely omniscient beings. Then you have things like Buddhism and Taoism, which is more virtue based, so this doesn't really apply to them. And then you see with a lot of indigenous religions where it's like they will worship either the creator or the great spirit, but they also have other aspects of it that the they're not these all-powerful beings versus like with to bring it back to like Androsteanism, where you have a creator who is all-powerful and completely benevolent, yet you can still worship effectively beings that do not fit that category. So,
to throw in real quick a connection that I made before I lose it. So, in my opinion, like just very quickly, because this is slightly off topic, I think that when it comes down to it, that Androsteism and everything with that is just a complete falsehood in fabrication. And when it comes down to it, everything is going to be elf stuff. I imagine that's where it's going and how it is, because that's usually the answer. And a lot of their main focus is on Andraste's like death with the burning at the stake and all that stuff, like the whole Joan of Arc thing. And I draw a connection between that and what's his name? Oh God, what's his name? The character from the Elder Scrolls. The Talos. Talos. Yeah, Talos. Yeah, also Mike the Liar. Talos, because Talos wasn't a god, he was a normal person that was killed, and people deified him. And it's a lot like that with in here. Andraste wasn't a god, she was a human that was killed, and they deified her. And they're like, oh, she was Bride of the Maker, and all this kind of stuff. And they just kind of made it up. And it's not like she was, a literal, a god or anything like that. A lot like how the elven people aren't actual gods, they were elves. So, I imagine that most, if we ever do get answers for the whole Andraste stuff, because that Bioware doesn't really want to touch on that too much, because they don't want to make people upset. I imagine the answers to most things are going to be elves.
Yeah.
Well,
I think so, yes.
Let me don my tinfoil hat again. What if...
Hit me.
Let me just throw this out there. Okay. Andraste was perhaps Flemeth or Mythal.
Yeah, that's exactly what I think.
That connection has been made. It's true.
Yeah, that connection. I'm not the person to make that connection.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, even their like sort of crown they were like Mythal, Flemeth, and Andraste were the same kind of crown. I'm like,
yes.
That's maybe a little bit too obvious.
It is always a long-haired woman with a crown.
Hey, Flemeth, your crown's showing again. Put that away.
That's maybe a little too much.
Now, I'm not saying I'm saying it's more of a Flemeth reincarnation thing, that it might have been a piece of Mythal was within,
or maybe the first Flemeth. Maybe the first one.
Yeah. Because Flemeth is a scorned woman whose husband betrayed her. Oh, wait, that's kind of what happened with Andraste. So, just more tinfoil.
Yeah.
Wait, which one came first? The first rumors of Flemeth or Andraste?
We don't know,
timeline-wise.
I think.
Okay. Might be Andraste.
But here's the nice thing about word by mouth rumors. They're generally much older than when they're first documented.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep.
So it could easily be said, the first rumors of a Flemeth or a Witch of the Wild may have been after Andraste, but who knows if Flemeth / Mythal was kicking around before that point, doing different things.
That's true.
Oh, that was...
according to the wiki, it's 3 towers. So pretty ancient in the timeline, but
yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, that was. I love how we start somewhere, end up somewhere else, but it's always a good time either way.
Okay, so next question then?
Yeah.
Wait. Let me just. Let me just get
next question.
Oh, you haven't gone yet?
No.
Nor
you, nor Eirin, but.
Oh, gee. Mine.
See, this is why I asked. because then we can know who was still up to bat.
Well, I'll be very quick with mine because mine's like a one-sentence thing. Like I said, I have no imagination, so I hey, they're in the Fade somewhere deep, just like just like Scott was saying, they're very deep in the Fade somewhere. And that's all I have.
See, I like the idea of they are exactly in between they are at exactly, which is somewhere in between THEDAS and Margaritaville.
Exactly, they got their.
I'm gonna take your in between and give it a twist.
Okay.
So I
Okay.
think they're in between reality and the Fade. If they
Okay.
had been in the Fade, in my opinion, they would have gotten out by now. I mean, demons go out, and demons are not even half or a fraction as powerful as they were.
Okay.
And so, if they haven't come out, either they're in an insanely deep part of the Fade, but they've had 1,000 years to get to less deep parts, so I don't think that's it.
Mhm.
I think Solus managed to chuck them into the void, which is in between both the Fade and reality.
Okay.
And I think that the Golden City turned black because it was invaded by the void. And it kept on expanding and expanding to the point where it affected the old gods that surrounded the once Golden City, blighted them or something, and now they call onto everything else to come and get them out.
Okay.
Ooh, I like that.
It is nice. I like that.
I like that. So you are saying they are somewhere between THEDAS, Margaritaville, and that place is called exactly Butt. Got it.
Exactly. I think
Question.
that they cannot get out on their own, hence they're corrupting what is guarding them, the old gods. Once you tear down each god one by one, they'll be free.
Mhm.
And you have
Ooh.
2 left.
But isn't
I
it
like-
the Forgotten Ones in the Void too?
That's the thing. Why are they could be all in the same place? I'm not saying they aren't. I'm just saying that Solus was in a panic. He had to chuck them somewhere. He wasn't powerful enough to create a whole new dimension. So my guess is he picked up an old one, and then poof, in with them.
I like that.
I like it very much. That's a good idea. I like it.
I like it.
Okay.
My
So
big
who's
question before Eirin goes, my big question is, when are we going to get to Margaritaville?
After we find
Only Jimmy got the
first
notes.
shaker of salt.
Oh shit! Damn it! When are they ever gonna put that in? It was
I'll stick around in Sex in the. No, wait. What's it called? It's not Sex in the City. What's it called? Peach. It's got peaches. Jesus, and I can't
you ruined
remember.
it.
Sex
It's
in
too
the
late.
Beach.
Oh, there you go. So you lost the joke, but there it is. All right.
I wanna pass by that beach before we go to Margaritaville.
Okay.
I'm down for that.
So yeah, we're going on a field trip. That's the next podcast. All right. Eirin, you're up. What do you got? Where do you think they are now?
Well, technically, I answered when I said that Asia's theory and Scott's really helped me putting mine into the conversation because I'm literally in between them.
Ooh.
Like, I think the Illuvian was a lead to the Black City, and they're not in the Black City anymore. So
Okay.
technically,
Okay,
I
I
said
like that.
But when I see the next question, I think we answered it a little bit.
Yeah, so the next question is going to be, do you think that they still influence THEDAS?
Knowing that one of the Evanuris is still around, yes!
You said
Okay.
Evanuris. It sounded like you
So
said
Technically,
Evanuris.
too.
who wants to be up to bat first?
Mine's gonna be pretty quick, so I could do mine.
All right, swing, bada, swing!
So I'd say yes but not for all of them.
Yep.
I definitely, obviously, Solus, obviously. So obviously Solus has influence still. Mythal does as well. And then I'm trying to think, but I think the other one would probably be
Killing
yeah. I was gonna say I was gonna say I need the name because I can't remember the name. Gillenon's the one with the monsters, right?
Yep.
Yeah, her, Gillenon. So I think those 3 are the only ones that currently have active influence. But I guarantee you that as soon as the other one gets out, everybody's gonna start bowing down, please don't kill us, we submit, and immediately gonna start fucking working for him. But I'd say that, like, as of Dragon Age Origins through Inquisition, I'd say that those three are the only ones with active involvement in the world that are, like, actual causing influence. Yeah.
Here's the interesting thing. You picked on 3 Evanuris, of which 2 never entered the prison that Solus put everyone else in. So Solus and Mythal. And then you also picked up on Gilanan, who, while she may be trapped, you can see what remains of her works. And she also was not always an Evanuris. She was possibly a slave of Andruil before she was an Evanuris. So I find that interesting, because the others are implied to be long past their deeds, their temples, their influence. Except maybe for Elgar'nan, he's often mentioned for some reason, but not specifically, just in a very generalized term, which I think is interesting.
Yeah.
Because he's the king of them.
Exactly. So yeah, that was it. Sorry, go on.
No, you're fine. No, you're fine. I wasn't cut off. I wasn't talking. No, but yeah, that's how I'm feeling. I'm thinking that we're those are the main 3 players as of the end of Inquisition. Those are the ones that we see the most influence from in our faces and in, you know, all the media that we have so far. And that's who I see being, like, as of now, the big 3. But as you know, as soon as the game comes out, that's going to shake up and everybody else is going to start coming out and all that shit. But
Exactly.
I feel like those are like I said, those are the main 3 that we are seeing the most influence from throughout the story so far. So who would like to pick up the reins from me and take this baby forward?
I think I'm the only one that hasn't answered yet.
Okay.
For me, it depends on how you define influence. Do I think I am actually on the opposite of everyone. I think the only person who actually has confirmed direct influence in the world of THEDAS is going to be Mythal. I think she is the only one. Possibly Girthaman because he's a sneaky boy, but that's mostly my headcanon. The thing is, though, I think if you define influence as their direct involvement, none of them except Mythal really match that category because Mythal's the only one kicking in THEDAS. But if we're talking about their legacy and what they left behind, that's a whole nother issue entirely. Because then you have things like June, possibly of creating the coffin, which hasn't been in the world of THEDAS hasn't been too much because there's only been one other being that was affected by that, and that was Fenris. At least as far as we know of. Then you have...
The others all blew up, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. We're now starting to see Gilanan and or possibly Andruil also has influence because of Horus of Hormak, because of, their influence of just like essentially the factories that they use to create these monstrosities are still operational, and there are 11 of them, which, oh dear God. So I think in that regard, sure, some of them do have influence, but I also think that this is an ancient, this may have happened long ago where any of the remnants of, and especially because so much of was tied to the Fade, it may have been a lot of what they built and things like that are simply gone.
Yeah.
They just haven't survived the test of time. So, and really all that's left are these oral traditions that are passed down to the Dalish. So,
and that's apparently wrong.
Yeah, like that you can or cannot trust. So.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. So, and I think that's the big thing is, I'm going to go off the opposite opinion of none of them really actually have influence on THEDAS. Mostly their legacy and what few things, if there is anything left, remain, is more influential. So, on to the next question then. Which Evanuris do you think will make an appearance in DA4?
None of them.
That would be
single one.
That would be okay. Let's be real. That would be a ballsy move if
Not
like none of the. Well, that would be crazy though. If like we're expecting the Evanuris, and they're all dead.
Oh, well,
And then there's something going bump in the woods in the fade.
It's
that
the maker.
fucking killed them.
I hope
That
we
would
have
be
one.
oh.
I hope we have at least one. I mean, he spoke for 2 freaking trailers already.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We'll
Nope.
have
Yeah,
one.
one of them is a little obvious of who will definitely be in DA4.
I don't know what you're talking about.
We're talking about June, right?
Yeah, June's totally showing up.
June's just gonna come out of the fade knitting and just being like,
Oh no, I
Oh, are we
actually
done?
bet it's gonna be Silas. So it's definitely coming up.
What is a soulless?
wait, what? I don't get it.
Silas is gonna show up and be like, "What, Fenharel? Like, we killed him. There's no
dead
more
as fuck.
Fenharel."
He doesn't exist.
Yeah, no, we,
anymore.
yeah, no,
Oh
we didn't.
god, that's
What?
the twist.
What do you guys mean that we were locked out of the fade? No, man, we wanted to get away from the mortal. We just went to a vacation in Calhoun. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
we
what-
went to a museum full of like a
turns out-
Kunari sculpture. That's it.
It turns
yeah,
out
yeah, we
Absolutely.
they're just playing a Call of Duty Black Ops 1 and it was you the whole time. You're like, oh my god!
So, who actually does want to answer the question of who's going to appear?
Well,
I mean,
Well, I do.
yeah, I'm sure we're all gonna. So.
Halla knows I definitely
I
have an
know.
answer.
I
Me
definitely okay. I mean, I feel like my answers on the Evanuris are always the quickest and the shortest, so I'll go first.
Okay, swing better, swing.
Again, because my imagination when it comes to this is zero, and I just listen to everybody else's and I go, oh my god. But I imagine that we will see. I want to say my 2 options are a couple of them or all of them. I feel like there's no in between there, because with what Solus is accomplishing, let's say he does tear the fades, and then we'll definitely see all of them.
yeah.
And if he doesn't, then I imagine that we'll see a couple of them. I feel like Gillenon is without a doubt at this point. I feel like there's no way that we don't see Gillenon, especially with with the horrors of Hormak and with all the horrific creatures we've been seeing and the behind the scenes and in the artwork and all that shit and the trailers when this, which I'm pretty sure that's her on the left side, the one that looks like a giant centipede. So yeah, I feel like the only one that I am 100% without a fucking doubt is gonna be Gillenon. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
In that case, if I may jump in,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I think that, of course, Solus and Mythal. Although I do believe that Mythal at one point will no longer look like the Mythal that we know.
It
I
won't be
do-
Flemeth.
Sorry?
It won't be Flemeth anymore.
Yeah, I think it'll be Morrigan, actually. I think Morrigan will cave in, wants to get that power that she's been aiming for so long, and she'll finally give in to Mythal. And also, I'm gonna base myself off of the mural and hints that we've been having. I think, the mural I'm specifically referring to the one that we saw in the latest trailer that came out, where Varric was narrating a story. So, I do believe that we are gonna get 2 figures. One of them, the male figure, I am gonna bet on Elgarnan. I think we're finally gonna get something on him. And the other figure, this is more complicated, but I think that's Andruil. I think that's Andruil fucked up by Gillenon.
Mm.
And my reasons for this are the following. Gillenon likes to experiment on living beings to turn them into half person, half some sort of beast. Whatever she can get her hands on. We've seen this in Winter Nights. And the figure that we see both in the mural and in the concept art trailer that we saw before was this centipede-like feminine creature, which interestingly enough shared a couple of features common to Andril, which was the upside down crown kind of headdress. And also Andril was the hunter. She had many weapons to her disposal, including a spear, I believe. And thus, I think that the figure, I believe, on the left that we see on the mural is Andril messed up by Gillenan. And yes, I do believe Gillenan will make an appearance somehow, also.
That is a interesting take.
Yeah, definitely interesting. I like it. It's fun.
All right,
Whoever
who's
wants to
next?
follow?
I don't know who wants to go.
AJ, go.
Asia.
AJ, sorry.
It's okay.
Asia,
Go
go.
ahead.
Okay, so I know I'm the odd man out, but I actually think Gillenan is going to be the big bad in the next game.
Ooh.
Right.
Ooh.
I like it.
Like, I
like
don't think it's going to be Fenrirel. I think Fenrirel's going to be like, oh dear God, what have I done? And
That's when she shows up and she goes, I am the horror of the Hormac.
well, it's more of like Solus is like, well, now what do I do? Well,
Yeah.
I could wake up Gillenan, and she can make really messed up monsters that will help me. And she'll be like, yeah, sure, I can do that for you. Fenrirel? Oh yeah, by the way, I'm going to destroy everything now. So, I have a feeling it's going to be something like that. So, I definitely think Gillenan will be present.
It's gonna
Um,
be a hell of a storyline if she does.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's a lot of, like, just stuff pointing to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And not only in Winter Nights, like even as early as just the base game of Inquisition, you've got a lot going on with like a lot of mentions of Andrul and Gillenan.
Mhm.
So if they're not in the next game, I will be incredibly surprised.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
As
Sorry.
for the, it's okay. As for the male character that's in the mural, I'm still undecided. Like, I mean, we haven't even really gotten into the theory that the old gods are the Evanuris.
mhm.
So
True.
if that's the case, then there's only two gods left.
Yeah.
Is
so-
it me? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Is it me or does, like... I'm not saying that it is, but, like, the figure on the right looks remarkably like a Canary.
It does.
And, like...
Yeah.
Good, yeah.
Maybe this is total crackpot theory, because like I'm pretty sure that Kunari are just elves with dragon blood shit, whatever.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome to the conversation.
I mean, I've thought that since like forever, but like maybe there'll be some kind of discovery of like that's just straight up fact now. I mean, like
Yep.
and that. He's actually a Canary or something, and then we're gonna be like, oh my god!
Well,
I like
here,
that. I like
here's-
that.
I mean, I've been trying to save this for the Kunari thing, so I won't go too deep into
yeah,
this.
we'll get into that there.
But Corypheus does say to an Inquisitor that they have stolen blood.
Yep.
So, it's quite possible. I think you're not wrong at all, Ethan. But it's more of like which male elven god is that going to
Yeah.
be?
Mhm.
So like I know like people were like, oh, it's definitely this one. Oh, it's definitely this one. I was uncertain. The only one that I was sure of is that's definitely Gillenan.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Eirin, have you gone?
Sure.
Okay.
I'm actually pretty, like, as Halla, I'm sure that Gillenan would absolutely make an appearance, and I still think she's the left figure. And I'm gonna join, like, what Ethan brought, that it looks like a Canary on the right. And since Corypheus is below it, I'm like, maybe it was a Ganon too. Like, who created with his power and maybe one of his wells, because I'm starting to think that the wells are a power thing that each Evanuris and maybe the Forgotten Ones had. Because Evanuris tells you that there are 12 wells in total. So I'm pretty sure that we saw some of them. At least 2. And I'm like, maybe it was Ergonon who created a Kunari as warrior, again, as they were his slaves, so he needed people to follow him into war. So maybe creating, like, more powerful beings using dragon blood.
So maybe this was the thing that made Mythal go, like, that's far enough, guys.
Yeah, between that and Gillenan's experiments, maybe she would be,
I'm
going
wondering if...
a little bit too far.
Yeah, well, I think it may have been almost the best way I could describe it is maybe Mythal stepped in because of the fact of the arms race of, like, power was getting too crazy. Like, the fact that, the Blight was bad enough, and now we're weaponizing it. Oh dear God, we're trying to get dragon blood. We're now experimenting with dragon blood and creating creatures from that. And it might have been a combination of things like, oh, fuck, we're... guys, we're taking this a little too far. Guys, stop it.
I think that was a case of them taking their jealousy too far. I think they envied dragons, so they tried to create something that was between them and dragons, something like the Theron bloodline achieved to a degree. They probably used Gillenan for it because she's the crazy one with the experiments.
And maybe what was brought in.
Yeah.
One thing as well that might support that is actually in the Silent Grove, they talk about, like, dragons are the lifeblood, like, of this world.
Yeah.
And so if you get rid of dragons, the world dies with them. So there might be even more value in that.
Dragons. I think Evanuris fucked up everything of godly that existed before them. So Titans and dragons alike. They stole their hearts and blood. And of the dragons, they tried to steal their blood and failed miserably. So at best chance, they could turn into dragon-like creatures, as we saw with Mythal. Smaller, but still dragons. And unfortunately, they could only, as far as we know, create Kunari. If that was indeed the case. I do believe that was, but who knows?
So, that's why I think he might be Ergonon, although it can also be Dirthamen, because his Valasline, like the top of his Valasline looks like the horns. So I'm like,
true.
Gillenan and Dirthamen could be a really good pair, especially knowing that we know that Gillenan's well was pretty active with the monster creating thing, thanks to Tevinter Knight, so maybe someone helped her be hidden for so long. So maybe it was Dirthamen?
And we have the side mission of Dirthaman's temple. So, we have contextual clues that it could be him.
Yeah. And I'm gonna put that there because we put it in the document. There's also, like, the Horn of Juné that looks a bit of a mix between the right and the left characters. So I'm like, maybe, but I don't think we're gonna see Juné's right now because usually Juné is paired with Siles. And it would be weird to not see them together. And I'm very interested in the Gillenan Dirthamen, because if it was Ergonon, it would be logical for Mythal to be with him.
Yeah.
First because they were very rivals, and because Mythal, as Halla, I'm like, maybe she will come back because I'm pretty sure that Morrigan's gonna accept Mythal power because she didn't want to become Flemeth. But now that's the power of an elven goddess. I love Morrigan, but she wants the power and the knowledge, so I think she's gonna take it.
Fair.
Morrigan loves elves and elven lore, that's for sure.
And that fits even more with, like, if the Inquisitor drinks from the well, because know Morrigan's gonna be like, oh, that's what I'm missing out on? Oh, no.
Yeah. And
I always make Morgan drink it.
Oh, no, I don't.
If I am an elf, I drink. If I'm anything else, I make Morgan drink.
I drank it because I wanted my boyfriend Solus to be happy with me.
Well, is he happy if you do that?
Definitely not.
No.
Yeah.
That's one thing I don't understand. He's like, no, don't let her drink. But why did you drink?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, there is no good answer for you, is there?
Because technically you become indented to Mythal if you drink from it. That's my guess.
Right.
You become a slave, and he's like, no, not you, not you.
I did an entire fucking civil war for this.
What again?
If this was Dragon Age Origins, then you would have been able to force somebody else to do it for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
I still want that option of being like, hey, Solus, why don't you drink from it, okay? If you don't want Morgan
He gets
to do
so
it,
pissed when you say that.
Also,
He's like, I will not. You better get the fuck out of my face with that shit.
I'm just gonna throw that there because that's an idea that I saw somewhere on Twitter, on Reddit, on many websites, and some of my friends are leaning toward the theory too. I'm not a huge fan of it, but there's also the possibility that whoever drank from the wheel becomes the new vessel for Mythal. So if it's your Inquisitor, that would be a cool twist. Just your Inquisitor coming back as Mythal and being like, now you have to kill Mythal.
I have not considered that.
No.
I like him. I like him.
But I don't want to.
I will cry, but love it. I will.
Like, I don't want to kill my baby, but that would be a very good idea.
Yeah. So here's my theory. My theory, I think, is going to be the most crackhead theory of them all. So I'm going to describe it. Halfway through the game, we're fighting Solus. He's about to tear down the veil. We fail. The veil breaks. We're expecting, oh god, what horrors are going to come out? We wait for it. Nothing happens. Quiet.
Amazing.
On further
Terrible and
inspection,
amazing.
we find all the Evanuris are dead.
Dun dun dun.
Because here's my reason why. Because one of the big problems I kind of see with Dragon Age 4 is that there's a lot of, mysteries and stuff like that that are going to be solved in Dragon Age 4, probably. The problem is, what happens after... And there's also a scaling thing of, Dragon Age 2, the fate of an entire city is hung in the balance. Dragon Age Origins, an entire nation. Then, arguably the entire world, but really just Ferelden and Orlais are in the immediate effects. Arguably, you can say the rest of the world, but that's debatable. So now this next one is, okay, the world is now going to truly be in danger. Okay, well, what comes after that? There's only, some things have to happen. So I think what's going to happen is we're expecting the Evanuris are going to show up. But they're not. They're dead.
Mm-hmm.
They got killed off by something that's going bump in the night in the Fade that happened when Solus was, when they were locked in the Fade. And it could also be like they killed each other in the Fade because of X, Y, or Z. I want to say it's going to be something related.
It could also be the
Forgotten Ones.
Yeah, it could be easily the Forgotten Ones. It might be a Blight thing too.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, where almost the best route I would say is almost like the Halo approach of where you have the Flood, like this all because that's kind of what the Blight is in a sense.
I agree.
Yeah, it's kind of like this all like the Blight does not care who you believe, what you believe in, who you are. It is an all-consuming force.
I don't care who you are.
Yeah, exactly. And so what we're going to see is, and maybe this is also to tie it back into the Dragon Age roots a little bit with Dragon Age Origins and the Blight of the Blight. If they are to come back, they are not going to come back as they were, but blighted versions of themselves. Mm-hmm. And that will make them more terrifying, or they're already going to be dead. And then we're going to realize, wait, if we think the Evanuris is super powerful, what the fuck killed them?
We
And
know
then
that they're not
You
easily
hear
killed.
something go bump in the night.
You know, Scott, I really, really like your flood analogy.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're saying that like we could see them come back as like red lyrium tainted ones, and then I'm just picturing like how fucking vile the flood make people look and like act and shit.
Yeah.
So like,
Well, I mean, like,
you see it a bit
I
in
mean-
Inquisition.
well, yeah, we see, like, look at Corypheus, for example. I mean, like, and look at the Architect. We've
Yeah.
seen what happens when powerful mages get blighted.
Oh yeah,
So, like, we can get some weird, fucked up people.
that'd be pretty dope. I'd like
Um,
that.
And it would be interesting because you do see, like, the vanity of... And, like, Solus talks about the vanity of the Evanuris.
Mhm.
Well, if they think that they're smart enough to deal with Red Lyrium and the Blight, it would be fitting for them to also get bit in the ass by the Blight that it consumes them.
Or maybe
Absolutely.
they're not in the prison anymore, and Solus wouldn't know where they are. Like, if we can follow what you said with the veil going down and nothing happens, if they're not in the prison in the Fade anymore, then they won't come up. Maybe they're already out there and he just didn't know.
Yeah, that could be that as well. That would be an interesting one.
I mean,
I'm just imagining Andruel, just coming up behind Solus after everything and just tapping him on the shoulder and it's like, "Hi, buddy.
You're
We've
like
been
that.
here the whole time, asshole."
It's like that
So-
meme of the old man in the hospital, and it's like, "I lived, bitch."
I live, bitch.
Some people thought it was Sarah, and many people were like, "Oh, that's maybe why she liked girls now, because she was in love with Gelanan, and since Solus escaped her in the Tale of Fenrir and the Tree, she doesn't like Solus anymore. That's why she's so hard with him." Like, I just hope it's not Sarah, because I'm not a big fan of Sarah, but that would be a plot twist. Like, holy crap, no, really?
I
Oh, yeah.
held back bringing up that tinfoil hat one because even I'm like, that's a little far fetched. I don't
Yeah, me
know.
Yeah, it's
Me
not
too.
the strongest theory out there.
Considering I want to bitch slap Sarah, I will take everything away
Hey,
from her.
hey, my girl is beautiful and perfect as she is.
But
She's gonna
my,
look even better when she's in hell. I'm just
oh my, oh my.
But I do want to bring up a point in the game because I just replayed this part. After you discover the warden's terrible, terrible plan. If you go talk to Solus afterwards,
Mhm.
he is livid that
Oh,
the
yeah.
wardens would even think about going into the deep roads and killing off
I
what's
just
left
did
of the old
that.
gods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did this quest yesterday, and I was like, he's really mad that, wait, what, they go there before no, don't kill them, why?
Yeah, like it's the
Yeah, what's
most
that about?
emotion. It's the most emotion he shows in the entire game, even to like a romanced Llewellyn.
Mhm.
Like he never gets this upset, and it
Yeah.
gets even worse if you say, "No, that's a good plan." Actually, it's just they were doing it in a bad way. Like he gets
Yep.
really mad.
And
Yeah.
you look scared, like what? But
Yeah.
they shouldn't do that. It's more the scare part that was a little bit obvious with the angry part. You seem like frightened by that, by the idea of doing that. And since he's been awake only for 1 year, you're like, oh, he didn't know about this fifth blight.
Yeah.
He didn't see that.
I mean,
Yeah.
I imagine that he knows about it.
Well, he
Yeah.
heard about it, but
Yeah,
I still
I-
wonder who
That's
wake him up.
that's. I will say though, I think that's why there is something like that. Almost, in my opinion, adds weight to my theory of just like there is something out there. There is something going bump in the night.
Mhm.
Because it's like if Solus is like, okay, no, don't kill them. That's a really bad idea. Doesn't explain why though. Okay, that does lead to the credence of like, okay, so what else is out there? We know there's more than what he's saying. There's so, ugh.
Well,
Yeah.
And also it's a way to continue the franchise too. Is
Oh yeah.
if you introduce a new antagonist in DA4, you now can have a DA5 in theory.
Mhm.
or at least one that continues that storyline a little bit.
I just hope that they finish the main Evanuris storyline in DA4. Although
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
not too hopeful.
You were
we'll
about
have
to
one
say
or two
something?
games.
Yeah, what I was saying is that, like, if you use conjecture, like, Mythal, well, Morgan, but in a long game, Mythal, we're trying to get the old god from the Fifth Blight, like the old god's soul.
Mm-hmm.
True.
They're successful if you do the dark ritual, and then Mythal gets the old god's soul.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't use it as like a weapon or anything like that. I think like that's where I'm really leaning into the idea that the old gods, quote unquote, are the Evanuris that have been corrupted.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's the case, then there are 2 left, which is why Solus is losing his mind, because he wakes up. He went to sleep. Everyone was still alive. They were just trapped. He wakes up. There's only 2 old gods or 2 elven gods left, and he's like, "Oh crap!" Which is also why he doesn't like the Grey Wardens very much.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just that.
Well, that would
theory.
actually also kind of add credence to the fact we see Mythal transform into a dragon.
Yeah.
And if the old gods are also stuck as dragons...
They're like corrupted dragons because they weren't actually
Yeah.
dragons to begin with. They were trying to be dragons.
Or maybe they got trapped in their dragon form when they got trapped in the Fade,
Mhm.
possibly. So they got corrupted because of that. Because we know that they couldn't stay in the dragon form for a long period of time.
And I mean the dragon form, like the blight happens when the Darkspawn find an old god. It doesn't say that specifically that they find
A dragon.
a dragon. Like it could take that shape
Mm-hmm.
once they're corrupted. Because the elven god or the old god, however you want to frame it, like takes the shape of a dragon because they're all powerful or something like that.
Yeah.
And that would make sense because, I mean, even if the deep roads are really deep, I mean, the dragons are big!
Yeah.
I think, like, if you find a hole big enough to fit a dragon, that there's a huge chance that the dragon is in there.
It's kind of like to like Scott's thing of like maybe they're all dead and stuff. Like another thing is maybe this is I don't know, kind of the mix of everything. But like maybe like again, it's kind of crackpot. But like maybe the archdemons are the physical manifestation of the elven gods that are stuck in the veil. Like you
Yes.
said, and like yeah, like you're saying, like again, kind of mixing both of you guys here, and that us killing them on the outside is killing them inside the Fade.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm liking that. Yeah, and like so when the time we get in there, only a couple of them are left. Okay, yeah. All right,
Yeah.
I like that.
Which is weird because Solus is like, yeah, the first of my people don't die that easily. Well, apparently, maybe
I mean,
apparently you
I
will be
doubt
able to kill them.
that's what it is, but I do like the idea.
Yeah.
I do like it.
You say they can't die easily.
And it doesn't
plot twist.
necessarily mean that they're dead. It might send them like it's a piece of them, just like
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
Mythal
kinda
is a
like,
piece of her.
Yeah, like
Just like Mythal?
yeah, like what's Mythal's what's
Necklace?
it called? Necklace. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like it. I like it a lot.
Just like that, or just like Solus that with the theory we said we talked about earlier, with him trapping the Evanuris while living a part of himself in the Fade.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love this podcast.
Also, I don't know if you guys caught it, but I don't know if you guys caught it, but I went to go say Mythal, and for some reason I almost said Felasan, and I don't know why. I was like, Fella. Wait a second, where am I
Wait
going?
a second.
Wait a minute.
This is
Wait.
totally not even remotely the same thing.
My poor baby is for now technically still dead. So
See, or plot twist, it's the lizard men.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's the lizard
that.
man.
Okay. So there are still places in THEDAS that are undiscovered.
Yep.
Like we still don't know exactly where the Kunari came from. They just came from quote unquote the north, which is still unmapped.
I will kiss anybody who puts my lizard men in the game.
So
I just like lizard people.
it could be that your lizard men do somewhere exist up north.
Let's get it. I'm all about the lizard people. I just love whenever they introduce new races. Like, hit me up, BioWare. Give me some new lizard people.
Maybe in D5, because for now I think Dragon's 4 is already big enough.
Yes, I agree. But
I think we're gonna get a new type in the new game because we have the Kunari-ish looking figure who I don't think is actually Kunari anymore. So
in what art? What art thing?
In the teaser.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
The
the
one
ones
with
that have
the,
the horns.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah,
The
I don't think
elven-
that's. Yeah,
Like the elven bow and everything.
yeah, I
Maybe
don't think that's
we'll-
Kunari.
Maybe we'll stumble across some ancient Kossith.
Da-da-dum.
Dun, dun,
I
dun.
hope so.
And there's the lizard people! Ah!
Ethan, I mean, if you want new races, we're already getting spiders with multiple people.
Oh,
heads.
yes.
Yeah,
Spiders with
exactly.
hands.
You're getting spiders with hands. Can't you have your spiders with hands?
Question is, are they playable?
Oh.
They can play fiddle, that's for sure, with their many hands.
Mhm.
Alright, I think we should probably move on to the next question.
All right.
we got 2 more left before we end this, and we're already 2 hours in.
Okay. The next question is: do you think they can be stopped?
What?
Very quick answer, yes, but very difficultly. Next
Yeah.
one.
Okay, well, I'll go next then. Anything can be killed if you stab it enough.
Exactly.
Especially if you put some Grey Wardens in there, just for good
Yeah.
measure. Just get some Grey Wardens.
Grey
to do the
Wardens have to
stabbing.
be involved.
Yes. Grey Warden them to death.
I mean,
Yeah.
we are hinted by the trailer and everything, and the concept arts and everything, that it'll be many factions that'll be involved in the next game. So maybe they are preparing us for a great big fight, probably
Okay.
against the Evanuris, and yeah. I
Yep.
think it can be done, but it's gonna require a lot of sacrifice.
Yeah, I think we're gonna all agree on that.
Oh.
They're gonna
I'm
be-
the odd man out. I don't think they can. I think they're
Ooh.
integral to the fabric of THEDAS, and so they can't.
Well, Asia, you know what?
Oh.
You're wrong, and I don't like you.
So I'm gonna answer mine, and then I'm gonna have Asia explain hers because I think that's a far more interesting one. Mine is they're already dead because the lizard people killed them. Now, Asia,
Yeah!
explain. Now explain your more interesting theory than mine.
So it's like I've done a lot of research on different myths of different cultures, and like they kind of make me think of like the Norse like fabric of reality things. So that the name is like eluding me right now, but there are certain beings within the Norse mythology
Mhm.
that like cannot be destroyed because they are part of reality, and destroying them would destroy reality themselves.
Ooh.
Hence Ragnarok.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think they are now integral into the fabric of what exists of THEDAS now, because Solus has changed things.
Mhm.
And in killing them, like actually killing them, destroying them, making sure they never can come back, I think is impossible. I think you can weaken them into a point where you can trap them again, but I don't think you can kill them.
That's maybe
I
why
like
he was
that.
upset. That first that they were killed, and second that they killed Mythal, because they killed like one of the pillar of their word. I actually like that.
All right.
Why they
big-
killed Mythal, but she's still out there?
Right.
Yeah, they thought they killed her, but since it was mixed with the Fade, her spirit could go off, I think.
Well, the big question is, Asia, how does that relate to lizard people?
The lizard people, as all of the Evanuris are just chilling with the lizard people somewhere in the
Mhm.
north.
Perfect.
Okay.
Lizard people
Now it's
are the
acceptable.
I'm just imagining all the
lizard people
Evanuris
are the. Go ahead.
I'm just imagining all of the Evanuris and some like lizard people are just on a beach and they're just wondering, when do you think Solus is gonna show up? They have a seat
Soon.
ready for him.
Here's my theory about the lizard people. We've already seen them. It's the Shabritol. It's all that armor. You can't see what's in it.
Oh.
Jeopardy. God damn it.
Turns out that the real lizard people were the friends we made along the way.
Oh,
This is a quote from Merrick.
I hate it.
Oh god, I just choked on my spit.
Oh no.
Don't die on us, Ethan, please.
Oh god, that was come on. I'm fucking dying.
Alright, so do we feel like we've answered that question pretty thoroughly enough?
Eirin,
Yeah.
you gotta go too, right?
Well, I thought they could be stopped because, like, maybe they're already dead because of the Grey Wardens, but I like the idea of Asia, so maybe they can't really be stopped, but at least a part of them can be.
Yeah. I think they can be or maybe a better way to describe it is they cannot be stopped permanently, but they can be
Contained.
contained for now.
Yeah, I like that. I think that that currently, like, Mythal is not dead, but she is being contained within Solus.
And she's still, like, causing troubles.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
before the end of the game, like, in Inquisition, like, she's still, even though she's quote-unquote dead, she's still around. She's still kicking.
She's
That's
supposedly
ridiculous.
at only a fraction of her real power, and she's already this much of a badass.
Exactly.
It's frightful.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so do we feel like that one's been satisfyingly answered?
Sounds good to
Yep.
me. We can move on
Yeah.
to the final one.
The final question is, who is the most powerful of them for you?
The lizard people.
Obviously.
That's gonna be my new thing now. I'm sorry. just this lizard people for everything.
The lizard people.
I mean, mine is always like, I'm not gonna say it's Gillanon, but it's Gillanon. So...
I can't wait for Dragon Age 4 lizard people.
Then
So I think it's one who hasn't made that much of an appearance yet. I think it's Elgar'nan. Elgar'nan took down the sun at one point, or told it to fuck off. Elgar'nan created cracks on the earth, supposedly. I mean, I know.
No, I'm sorry. I giggled because you said created cracks, and I was like, "Heck, created crack." Because I'm a fucking child.
He started with pot and then moved on to cocaine, and etc.
Oh boy.
Oh no. Oh god.
I do think it's probably him. He was the one who everyone else supposedly obeyed. My guess is since they were all war generals, there had to be a reason for them to obey someone else who was supposedly the same rank as them. That would be because he's far more powerful than them. Why, it's hard to tell, because so far all we have is that tale of his origins, of the creation of the moon and Mythal, and how they basically met. It's something you get to know in the Exalted Planes, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that's basically our only hint, but I believe, for me, that he is indeed the most powerful. There.
Yeah. I'll go next real quick because that's my choice as well. Elgar'nan, I feel like a lot of people in the community attribute him to being the strongest. Or like the most like terrifying or something like that. With the whole like he's the one with the red lyrium, not red lyrium, the red Valisline. No, that's the other thing, right? Yeah.
Yep.
I'm getting a little confused with that. I think is he or not?
Yeah, he's the one with the red roses.
Yeah. So I feel like everybody's like, oh, the red Valisline and all the other stuff. Like he when I hear about him, I'm like, he sounds like he's probably the toughest one.
yeah. I would not be surprised if he... I guess I'll go next. How I almost see him is... Assuming that they're not all dead and fun stuff like that.
Yeah.
How I think he is going to show up, because he is meant to be like the god of vengeance. I think how he's going to show up late to the party. I think we'll be fighting the other Evanuris, we'll be taking him down, and then all of a sudden you're going to be hearing him stomping in, and all the Evanuris are just going to go, oh, we fucked up. Oh shit.
Run!
Yeah. And then, like, Elgar'nan's gonna come in just as Wrath Incarnate and just really start wreaking havoc. Like, I almost think that, like, almost Elgar'nan is not even going to be, like, a boss as in, like, someone you can fight. I almost think he is going to be, like, a force of nature. Like... Elgar'nan's gonna come in almost like a storm and just ruin everything.
I love that, and I love how so far we're all in agreement. And I also want to put out the fact that you said that, like, everybody's like, "Oh shit!" when he comes in. Again, my dumb brain was like, "Hey, you remember that thing from X-Men 3 with the Juggernaut?" And he's like, "Do you know who I am? I'm the Juggernaut, bitch!" Yeah, that's Elganon. He's gonna come in and just start beating people up.
Oh god. Yep.
Unfortunately, that moment wasn't played up that way, but...
Actually, now I have the John Cena entrance theme on my head.
Well, if we're going for wrestling, he would be more like the Undertaker.
Oh,
more
hell
just
yeah.
Like, he shows up and you just know, dung, dup.
Hell yeah, and it's just that's how Dragon Age 4 ends, is Elgranon Tombstone Pile drives Solus.
Ouch.
Oh, finally, Llewellyn, we're alone at last.
Boom! or the other old theme song, the da-da-da-da, no, the Steve Austin. And Steve Austin comes out and he's chugging beers. And to the da-da-da-da-da-da, and he just fucking fights Solus. That's how it is.
Yes.
Oh god, Steve Austin as Elgranon. I need it.
So, I'm putting on my tinfoil again. Sorry.
It's okay.
Shit,
So-
have you not heard the theories
For-
we've been talking
Yeah,
making?
we love
I mean,
it.
most of the crazy things are the ones I'm throwing out. So, like, it's me being like, "Hey, this is insane, guys. I'll do this."
I'm sorry, lizard men killing the Evanuris.
I
I,
mean,
but
Okay.
I rest my case. Please continue, Asia.
so this is still leaning into the idea that Mythal is Andraste, but like Elgranon technically could be the maker. So
Ooh,
Scandalous.
Yes.
yeah, so because he's supposed to be quote unquote the All Father, like, just saying, if we're gonna play into that theory, Elgranon would be the maker, and then ideally
My
he
dog
and
is
Mythal
barking,
would
I'm
be
sorry.
the two strongest.
Yeah. Ooh, I actually really like that because yeah, that definitely adds more to the theory of, you know, they're trying, you know, everything is ancient Elven and Andrastianism is just a really warped version of it. I really like that. And I think it would also be good because then they could get away from Andrastianism a little bit and then explore the other pantheons that really... Because, like, really for the most part, like, especially being in southern THEDAS, Andrastianism was really taken over and has kind of pushed everything else to the side, and really, without DLCs, we wouldn't have any other ideas of the religions of THEDAS. So I think that it would actually be a really good idea for them to kind of go that route. So then it's like, okay, we can get rid of this, but now we can open up the floodgates to other things.
I like it.
To follow what Aja just said, if Ergonon's the maker and Mythal is actually Andraste, then it would make so much sense that Shortan was Solus, and that's why it was erased of history, like Enderel pushed as a bad guy.
Ooh.
You and me, Erin, we're working on same wavelengths here.
I think we're...
Okay. There's something to do here. But I actually think Ergonon is the most powerful too, but just to put someone else, I'm gonna say maybe Mythal, because since at least in the Elven lore we know, they were married, so at least Ergonon considered her as its equal, and that will also explain why he decided with the other to kill her, because maybe she was powerful enough to oppose them. So, just throwing that up there, but he fucked up miserably, so... So I'm like, it's Ergonon or Mythal, I'm not really sure of which one it is.
Point on the Shartan thing. If I recall correctly, we saw 11 Dras's companions in Dragon Age Origins during the Temple of Sacred Ashes quest.
Yeah, and he's bald!
Exactly. I do recall that there was a male bald.
Yes, it is.
It would fit!
Turns out that it was...
My baby Solus!
Just saying!
Just saying.
I mean, Meryl doesn't have the same voice in Origin either because they didn't have a set.
Yeah.
Bald, eh? So it's Zathrian.
Oh, no.
He's
Not
Zathrian.
this
He's
specific.
back. Oh god.
Oh, Zathrian.
Good with the questions. I wonder if
Yeah, that's all of it.
So, go ahead, Eirin. What were you gonna say?
maybe there's something we put in the guideline we made with Halla. Then maybe we could at least like try to see real quick. It's the rounded thing we have around the Red Lyrium idol in the very first mural we got in 2018.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What about it?
So we already see that there's 5 points dark and 2 others being still up.
Mm-hmm.
And I think many people think that it's still the 2 remaining Archdemon, aka maybe the 2 remaining Evanuris alive.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the 2 figures we see in the last mural we had in the latest trailer. Plus, we have this rounded thing that the Dreadwolf is literally breaking. And that also, like, the circle in the first mural is oddly resembling the one in the Temple of Solasan door. And also Mythal, like, creepy headset we can see in Dragon Age Origin. So that's also why I think that's gonna be full Elven in Dragon Age 4 and especially the Evanuris, and maybe that's how they all link up together. Like the 2 remaining dots being the 2 remaining one we see.
Maybe,
So,
yeah.
To point that out.
Which, like, I know we've talked about Elven lore for almost 3 hours now, but, like, I honestly, in the next game, want to start seeing other lore. Because, like,
agreed.
the stuff that started opening up about Andrastian lore started opening up because we started seeing Elven lore. So I'm curious as to what would happen if we start seeing some, like, Dwarven part of the story.
You're right, Asia. We should have lizard people lore.
People lore. And we definitely need to find out what actually happened, like how the Kunari were created. Like,
Please! I feel like next game might be it.
So
I agree.
Maintain that theory.
I like to think that in the next game, it's going to be the closest to Saharon that you've ever been.
Yes.
So I like to think we'll finally get that answer.
well, I mean, they don't even have the answers though, because like Bull, like if the Kunari knew, Bull would have said during that part.
Yeah, of course. But I'm saying, like, just the fact... Oh, true, and they could be keeping it from... You don't know, the priestesses and stuff might not say that shit. But also, I mean, I'm not necessarily saying that we'll get it from the Kunari. I'm thinking that it could be one of the Evanuris that tells us, or maybe the Tevinters know something.
Yeah.
You know? Maybe the Imperium knows something, or... Again, maybe some old god shit will occur. I just feel like the next game is the game that will figure that out for sure.
Yeah.
The next game is the one who will give us the next big thing to make theories about.
I mean, and it would be interesting also to get some Tevinter lore, just because like what little pieces that Dorian gives us in Inquisition like starts to open the door and like of questioning certain things.
Yeah. Well, we're undoubtedly getting Tevinter lore for sure.
So
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
I would say, we're done with all the questions. I'll quickly go. Does anybody have any closing statements or questions, starting with Asia? You got anything?
do I mean, I have so many questions unanswered. I mean, where do the
We'll go. We'll give you. We'll give everybody one closing question or statement, and then we're gonna head out for the day.
Okay, well, let me gather my thoughts. I don't want to go first.
Okay. Scott, you got anything? Comment or question?
It's always the lizard people. Always.
Yes. That is the only one. Sorry, everybody. That's perfect. We can't go on. I don't. That's it. Sorry. Eirin, you got anything? Question, comment?
My comment is that I think Solus was right to be afraid of the Evanuris for them, and that's gonna help the plot of Dragon Age 4.
Sounds good. Halla, question or comment?
Comment, 2 words. Fuck Ilanon.
Hala, you wound me.
Fuck you,
Hala, I am bleeding from these wounds.
Okay, Asia, we're back to you. Do you have it?
Do I have it? Sure.
Question or comment? What you got?
I'm bringing up a question that
Okay.
everyone can like noodle over, I guess, and
Okay.
we will not have an answer to.
Okay.
So, in Origins, if you corrupt Andraste's ashes, you have to then kill Wynn and Liliana. But Liliana still shows up in Inquisition and has a body of lyrium. So, that means at some point, one of the probably interfered and created or brought life to her body with lyrium.
Mm-hmm.
So, was that an Evanuris?
I think me and Scott are on the same page here and say that it's lizard people.
I still think it was the Titan.
Or was it a Titan?
Maybe
I
we'll have
vote
a
Titan.
one
I
day.
mean, body full
Wait,
of
didn't we
lyrium,
say we were
just
not
that-
answering this question?
I mean, I'm just saying.
Oops.
You can noodle
I
on
mean,
that.
we pretty much all just answered anyway. It's obviously lizard titans.
Lizard Titans, yes.
Buff as fuck, scaly as hell, absolutely destructive.
So that's what they stole the blood from to make Kunaris, the lizard people. You
Yes.
have
Lizard.
Dun dun dun, lizard titans.
We broke the code, Bioware. You cannot have us with that.
You cannot hide from us now.
I'll take my paycheck.
Dragon Age 5, the invasion of the lizard people.
Yes, that's all I need. Sorry, Solus. Lizard people take the stage now.
What have I done? What have I done?
Also, I will wholly apologize on all of my tinfoil hat things. I've had to think way too much about Elven and Kunari lore in the last 2 years.
Don't
So
apologize. It only enhances the
I
experience.
will apologize for none of my crack theories. I apologize for none of them.
You guys
I don't
shouldn't
apologize for
apologize.
my obsession with Elven lore.
All right. Well, that's bringing us to a close. My final comment will close out the show. Thank you all for being here. Everybody watching at home and everybody here recording today. I appreciate you guys very much for making these podcasts special with each one of your individual thoughts. And you guys always make this a whole lot of fun, and I can't wait to make one every time.
Oh,
Aw.
Thank you. Likewise.
Aw,
So
nerd.
individually, Asia, Scott, Eirin, Halla, thank you all very much for making this a reality for me.
oh.
Thank you for having us.
Aw, feels.
Thank you for creating this for creating all of this for us. I'm losing my words now.
Okay, well, thank you very much, THEDAS. We love you very much, and we'll be up here next time.